I'm Tina Ferris, and I was born in Beirut, Lebanon. I had been adopted from Lebanon, lived in Germany where everyone was blonde, blue-eyed, white-skinned, and had nobody mirroring my face. We moved from there to very rural Wisconsin, which again had very similar ethnicities. So at 18, having been adopted, where my family also looked very white, and I was born in the 70s, so was being told I looked just like them, and I could look in the mirror and look at my parents and see I did not look like them. I was not reflected by their faces. So it really was an 18-year-old trying to find home, find people that looked like her, reflected her, mirrored her, and it did feel like just in going back to a Latino country that I was, in a way, going home. So there was a lot of hope and a lot of expectation. Learning a new language for me was very young feeling. Here I was a graduate. My peers were all going on to university, and the only people who would spend time talking to me because of my language, because of the language barrier, were children. The college age group that were my peers all spoke fluent Spanish, and it slowed them down to stop to translate into English for me. So I learned just not to interrupt, not to ask for interpreters, not to make waves. I learned to play small, but with the children, I felt safe. They talked slower for me. They didn't laugh at me when I made mistakes. They were very patient with me, but it did make me feel insecure about my own intelligence and my own ability to communicate. I missed out on friendships with young people my age. I missed out on the cultural experiences of a young adult. I missed out on doing things that other university-age students were doing. I, lived very simple, lived on the compound, lived talking to children, but that felt safe. I had been down in Mexico for about a month, maybe 2 months at this point, and my best friend came down from high school, came down to visit me, and we asked one of the Mexican translators to hike us up the mountain. It's about a 3-hour hike up and back down. And it was very isolated mountainscape. We had our cameras with us, just us two 18-year-old girls, and maybe he was 25, translator. And we were about halfway up the mountain when 2 men jumped him. And right in front of us, they took our cameras, took what little money we had. They had watched us enter the trail and had followed us. We were unaware of it. I was shooken up, scared. The translator was bleeding, black eyes. We didn't know whether they were going to take us. We couldn't understand the dialogue between the men around there. I could catch 1 out of every 20 words. What it did was make me feel very scared from that point on. I felt scared of men, unfortunately, for a long period after that. Had another mugging in Chicago happen, and it made me not want to leave without knowing exactly where I was going, who I was meeting. I remember feeling often unsafe in my own body, emotionally shut down, almost spiritually stunted in ways. It took intentional time and some trauma therapy working through some of these stories to really overcome the fear of traveling, the fear of um, just being alone, and even seeing men approaching me. My grandpa passed, and I couldn't return back for the funeral. All my siblings, all my cousins, it was a huge family reunion. They sent a picture, and I felt just so lonely and sad and isolated and separated from family, from friends. And then my sister got married, and I also couldn't come back. They sent me pictures about around that time. And both these two big events where I would have been with family, where I would have wanted to have been with family, and I was so far from home, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I just wanted home, and I couldn't financially afford to go back for these really important events. So much of my journey has been wanting to belong, wanting others to see and witness me in both the good, the hard, the lonely, the joys. And I had never been back to Lebanon. For my 50th birthday, my daughter was doing mission work in Lebanon. So my older daughter and I flew to Lebanon for my 50th. And we walked into a flea market, the three of us, on my birthday. And one of my daughters told one of the ladies there in one of the booths that it was my birthday. And it was this big plaza where all the women made handmade soaps and oils and sold their goods there. It was a market for women who were either single moms or independent shop owners. And they all sang happy birthday to me. Several of them ran, got some of their goods, brought them to me, welcomed me home. And I remember looking at their faces and what I had been looking for all those years. People who looked like me, people who reflected my image. That here was a whole room full of women that had my brown skin, my brown eyes, the same shape of my nose, the long black hair. And it was almost as if the Lord was saying, happy birthday. Here are your people. Here are your women. This is what belonging feels like. What would I tell my 18-year-old as she got off the plane? You're so brave. You're so brave. You'll meet lots of people. You'll find your people. You will find your tribe. You will find belonging. Go out and live your big adventure. It's worth it. It's worth both the sorrows. It's worth the pain, because there's so much joy woven throughout it. Live your big life.